To have a store like this that is pretty much the benchmark of the industry, you need to keep it clean, you need to keep it well lit, and you got to keep it fresh. The sports card industry is unique. There's nothing else like it on earth. It's built upon sports, it's built upon passion, and it's based on collecting. So I love it. It's just the best business in the world. After 30 years in this business, my passion has never been greater, and this business as a whole has never been stronger. It's the Cardfather here, and I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. I don't want to use the word shysters, but I do want to use the word shysters. There's people that come in and try to take advantage of people that are new. And I like to be able to educate people on that, and we try to do the things the right way here. We've built a business over decades, and we have a store full of people because we treat people the right way. And it's nice to be able to sit down, get a camera rolling, and have a meeting of the minds. It's some of the brightest people in the industry because they know that this makes for the perfect set for content.
If you guys want to just kind of give your names real quick.
I'm Shaya at Shaya Cards on Instagram.
Super sharp. Goes to all the major shows, knows what he's doing, very articulate in that.
I'm Sasha.
Known as Sasha T, kind of a celebrity in the industry.
I'm Natey.
He's been traveling the country and does some of the very biggest deals out there.
I'm Dennis.
He's in here doing large deals with Ryan back and forth, and we're getting fresh inventory. The industry's never been in a better place because the average age of the consumer has probably dropped from 45 to like 28, 29 years old. And every industry needs that or they're in danger of aging out.
You can't have a conversation with you kids, unfortunately, about talking about COVID and the experiences that we had at the store where we went dark for 10 weeks. COVID was surreal in so many ways, and it was, me personally, this all hit. Sports done. Retail done. That's your business. I mean, literally, you're over.
I think people really wanted to keep busy. I know, like, initially, it wasn't necessarily always an upward trend during the COVID pandemic. I remember there was a portion of time where everyone's like, we need to sell because people won't be able to pay for their mortgages, for food, for basic necessities. But then we saw this boom, and I think it was just based off of interest, anticipation, people wanting to get involved. And I think it was just this shift from sports cards aren't cool to they are. And I think it was this whole trend with the media, and I think that's what really changed it as a whole, and I think that's why we are where we are.
I think you nailed it, actually, kid. The biggest month we'd ever had in the history of the business up to that point was May of 2020.
Hey guys, back at Burbank here. We're lined up. We've got Michael Coleman Cards, John, first off the line, John. They're both working here on weekends now to help with grading submissions. We've submitted a tremendous amount of cards. We've got some guys waiting in line. The store's simply too busy right now, so we put the canopy out there.
That's how crazy e-commerce went. And then obviously you guys were jumping in a lot at this point in time too.
I would say that the main market that really exploded was the base market. I would say that was the market that really was the star of that COVID boom, and I would say the Luka Base 10, and that's the iconic one that started at $50 when we were all buying it, grading them, flipping them.
Luka Base 10s helped out like crazy. Like, we were probably all buying those at like $50, $60, and they got up to $2,200.
The demand actually soaked up all these base cards. There were so many base cards in the market, but the demand was so crazy, especially for a Luka or for a Zion.
Yeah, I had a lot of those at one point, and then what else? LeBron Chrome 10s were another one where at the time we were buying at $1,500. They're back down to like $7K now, but was fortunate enough to be able to sell those around $20,000 to $25,000.
Yeah. Oh my God, Natey walks around with a black box. I don't want to tell him where he lives, but when Natey comes in to sit down with Ryan in the office, there's some crazy firepower in your box. And what did you start with before becoming All-Star Cards 23?
I mean, I really started with like $10, $20, $30 cards and kind of just flipping them and doing all that, and slowly scaling up to $100, $200 cards. Like when I got into cards, I thought a card for $1,000 was.
Right.
But now it's just an everyday thing. I mean, I feel like $1,000 card nowadays it's not even considered high end anymore.
Yeah.
Back then, like 5 years ago, it was crazy. But like the one card that really helped me a lot was the KD Topps paper. I bought 150 of those, like raw, the white one.
Okay.
So that's not the one that's pack pulled. It actually comes in like the set that you would see in like Walmart or Target for like $4.99 on the hanger. And so I bought 150 of those raw.
There's lots of terms that we have in the industry, but the basic ones are raw versus graded. Raw is a card that just comes out of a pack. Raw might be cards that you found your grandfather's collection that he collected as a kid. 99.8% of the cards that I own are raw. And everyone kind of gets into this, it's got to be graded this, it's got to be graded that. We have probably 100,000 of them in here that you can put your hands on right now. And we grade very few cards ourselves because the vast majority of cards that come in simply aren't worth it.
I ended up sending them to PSA. PSA took a while, but it worked out. It took about 8 months. When I sent them in, the PSA 10s were doing about like $300, 9s were like $80. They ended up coming back. I had like 22 PSA 10s.
Oh, wow.
And those were doing like $1,900 to $2,000 when they came back. And
That's a nice
were like,
car you could buy with that.
yeah, 9s were like $400.
Back in my day, we had the Beckett Price Guide. That was the Bible for pricing, but that's changed over the last few years. Shaya, your thoughts on how the pricing is done today? When you guys go to do a deal, what's involved in that?
I would say the current supply of that card is always taken into account, but I would say the main thing I think we can all say that we use is Alt. Alt is essentially a platform that you can instant price a card by taking a picture of it, and it'll pull up all the recent sales from eBay, PWCC, Golden Auctions, all the different auction houses. And then you can specify the card based on grade and different factors to put a value on it, or an estimated value.
And for the ultra-modern market, that is basically the say-all, end-all. This is interesting with you, because you started much before they did. You're collecting back in '96, and boxes are $25, $30, $40 maybe. Yeah. You could buy Shaq rookies for a couple bucks.
Right.
And fast forward to 2022, and it's the same industry, but it's totally different.
Completely different. So I collected around 96, 97, up to about 2009, 2010. I took a hiatus. I didn't come back until about 2018.
Okay.
So I'm, relearning everything when I came back in the hobby. Because I didn't know what Panini was.
Yeah, it was a sandwich.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, that's what Panini was.
It wasn't until about 2018, I'm on eBay, and I'm like, that exquisite Jordan I used to own.
Sure.
It's $50,000 now. I sold it back in 2010 for about $2,000.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of just me catching up.
Sure.
It was me catching up to the hobby, and I mean, I was buying Topps Chrome 2003 LeBron's rookie year for around $120 a box.
This box, exquisite, at the time, it was a $500 retail box.
Retail.
And people lost their minds because it was
expensive.
It was like stupid money. It was like twice as expensive as any other box on the market. And they were wholesale for $350, I think. And now it's one of those boxes that, what'd you say, $125,000 for this box?
I had to guess.
Yeah, I think it might even be more.
Social media is the biggest change to the industry that we've seen since the internet. And it's something that I didn't know how to take full advantage of just 3 years ago. Old Facebook guy, didn't get it. This kind of reach would have been a commercial that you'd have to shoot 20 years ago and spend thousands and thousands of dollars to be on at 10:30 at night. Trading cards, it's the greatest hobby on earth. No two people collect alike, but it brings together generations. I got 35,000 people that actually want to hear the messaging, choose to click on my channel. And I think not just for us, but for everybody in the industry, it's been a dramatic boon to the amount of people that are seeing us, not just from the people shooting the content, but the different tentacles it gets out to with these people that might have never found out about our industry.
And Sasha, you're just absolutely everywhere on social media.
Sasha T started a podcast, and so the first guest where I'm like, it should be the Cardfather, but no, it's my kid, Ryan. I'm like, damn it.
And I'm here with my very special guest and good friend, over the last couple of years, Ryan Veras.
Ryan killed it. It was Sasha T's first experience, and he learned a lot from it. And I was able to come in a couple of guests later and kind of give the OG experience.
We have the Cardfather himself, Rob Veras.
Bringing me on board was kind of a different perspective, someone that's owned the business for 33 years, have seen all of this. A lot of these kids have only seen that, and I want to bring perspective to the fact that it's not always going to be this, and you're going to have to grind a little harder in the future at times.
When I was getting into it, like there wasn't any content out there where like you could go and like learn. So I was just going to trade nights and shows and trying to attach myself to people that knew stuff. So in my head I was like, all right, like this would be cool to like share the experience of me like kind of learning the industry and hopefully like help other people at the same time.
We've had this giant boom in the industry without a streaming series, without live commercials during live sporting events. Fanatics is one of the biggest brands in sports, and they bought an entire industry. Them coming on board, getting the pie bigger slice for everyone. How things will be distributed, that remains to be seen, but I do believe they're going to create a blank slate. If you got 10 cases before, and you were just kind of dependent on those cases, you weren't doing things to grow the pie, you're going to be in trouble. We need someone that actually adds value, and I think that's where Burbank comes into play and just does things that no one else can do. So
I think it's going to be huge. I think Fanatics is definitely going to revolutionize like sports cards, especially for shops and breakers. I think the way that Panini and Topps have like the allocations set up, which is for those that don't know, it's how you get the boxes direct from the distributor. It's going to be much easier with Fanatics because they have a much better connection. They're better, with communication, and they want the new guys to be able to receive the product.
Right.
If you're a new card shop, a new breaker, or anything, somebody that's getting new into sports cards right now, it's really tough.
No, I totally agree. I think that the pie is going to grow, and if the pie grows, we all get a bigger slice. I'm very confident that there's another wave beyond the COVID wave. I think there's another tsunami coming of new users, and that's exciting.
It was interesting because at VCon, Michael Rubin was there, who owns Fanatics, and I really liked what he had to say, just in business in general. And then it was cool to also see Josh Luber coming to the tables. I never saw somebody from Panini like go to a show or anything like that. So
Truth.
Seeing that involvement was really cool to me. I will say though, you see a lot of people at shows like being very excited about Fanatics, which is amazing, but you don't want in their head to be like, oh well, my value of my card's gonna go up when Fanatics come in, because that I don't think
one doesn't correlate to the other.
Exactly. So
my crystal ball is that you have these young minds in this business now that really know things, passionate, they want to share. I think that the future is incredibly bright. With Burbank Sports Cards, Ryan's 27, so we've got decades to go in this business, and we're not going anywhere. And from what I can see with you guys are totally, down with this industry. You've made, great connections, your brands that you're building. There's huge players in this industry, huge distributors that the vast majority of people in here do not know who they are, but they know you.
yeah, basically these kind of exclusive interviews are something you can only find at Burbank Sports Cards. We get the biggest guests in the industry, and in fact, no matter what part of the world you're in, if you're coming to LA, make sure we're part of that trip. All right, let's get business going. A lot of times people will reach out in advance. We're coming out, it's a big occasion for us. We really want to make this special.
Packs, I would say more fun. Bigger the risk, more fun. Buy a box. Boxes are great.
We want to be someplace that, whether it's the beach, it's Disneyland, if you're into the hobby, we want Burbank Sports Cards to be at top of that list as well.